Alright, hello world. So, it looks like I got caught in a bit of rain. I was wishing it would cool down, but not like this. I don't really know what to make with this video. Maybe I'll play some guitar. But since I'm going to be stuck in this gazebo for a while, I might as well do something, right? Maybe I should just meditate, but I guess I've become the hipster I always hated and I just need to film everything.
In allen Lippen spürst du kaum einen Hauch, ein Gleiches. Die Vögelein schweigen im Walde, warten nur bald wirst du an.
Okay, so the first thing that I did there with the guitar was I played about with some arpeggios and set the words of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe to music as best I could muster. I thought it came out somewhat tolerable, so I decided to upload it, and this gives me a opportunity to talk a bit about the poem, which first got brought to my attention, obviously, by a Schubert record that somebody had recommended to me, and then when I found out about a sort of avant-garde artist from Germany named Blixa Bargeld, he does a very good rendition of it, and I think it's his version, not Goethe's, that I sang because I added the Ein Gleiches line. So, what is the Wanderer's Nacht song? Night lead. Night song. So many languages. Alright, so there's two poems. There's Wanderer's Night Song 1 and Wanderer's Night Song 2. Basically, kind of a world-weary traveler, reflecting the state of the poet Goethe himself. And the one I used, Wanderer's Night Song 2 in German, which, pardon my pronunciation, it's as best as I can muster. Über allen Gipfeln ist roh, in allen Wipfeln spürst du kaum einen Hauch. Die Vögelein schweigen im Walde, warte nur balde, ruhest du auch. I'm getting this from Wikipedia, and there's an unattributed text translation to English, so über allen Gipfeln, above all the summits, ist roh, it is calm. In allen Wipfeln, in all the treetops, spürst du, you feel, kaum einen Hauch, scarcely a breath. Die Vögelein schweigen im Walde. The birds in the forest are silent. Warte nur balde, just wait soon. Ruhest du auch, you will rest as well. And I think it's a kind of a good little musing on mortality, very much in the vein of Ecclesiastes, almost. And since it was done in kind of a woodland setting where I think that Goethe was able to very much observe the stillness that settles over all life in those rarefied moments of evening that one finds therein. I just always really liked it and used it, memorized it, ingrained it to remind myself to live as well as possible, to try to find out what it is that is best, and then to live in accordance with the principles ascertained, as it were. And unfortunately, or fortunately perhaps, I don't know, depending on your take on this, the poem was used in the film Valkyrie, which is about Nazis. And fortunately, things that are German get tied to Nazis, and It was legitimate use, but I feel that it's got so much more applicability. It's so much broader than that topic, and I wanted to just give my 2 cents in that regard. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the little bit of a Bach prelude that I know that I played. It's the Prelude 1006A, which some scholars now think was meant for violin, or rather, is the instrument is not attributed, but one fellow in the past said it was lute. And again, I'm getting this information from Wikipedia, but I have no reason to doubt it. It's in the key of E major, and I first stumbled across it when I was searching for, guitar stuff, acoustic guitar stuff, way back a long time ago. And it came along John Williams, one of my favorite soundtrack guys, doing a rendition of it, and I really wanted to learn it. And it led me to kind of affect a love of Bach. I do like Bach. I have always loved Bach. Even before I knew it, I used to have a little tape of Bach that I would listen to while I read. But when I say affect, I mean kind of really focus on it in a way that's, I'm not that musical, I don't fathom enough about it, but that's what I used as kind of something to grasp onto, to try to attain a better understanding of music through that very rich, Baroque, textured, almost formulaism, but I don't want to say that because it takes away from the Geist, the spirit of it. And I think that everybody should listen to the actual good rendition, not mine, of John Williams doing that, and have it inspire them to learn, if not Bach, but hopefully Bach, musical pieces. Even if you don't understand what you're doing, which I half the time don't. I'm very slowly studying music theory. It's very rewarding, and as a writer, you're always looking for nonverbal spaces, which is kind of, I guess not everybody's familiar with that, or that phrase won't make sense, but what I mean is you need time to where you're not thinking in words, and one of the best ways to reach that state for me that's got that ready feedback and it's a refinement process is music. You can also draw, etc. Whatever suits your fancy. It's something that's probably going to be repeating over and over again that you've already heard me discuss. Yes. Okay, so because I want to start making these little Fractal radio podcasts a wee bit longer, I'm going to continue doing a little bit of an informal discussion about a book I found in my collection, which was handed down to me by my grandmother, and she was always trying to encourage me to write, so she got a bunch of books on writing, and some of them are good, some of them not so good, and again, it's my opinion, but there's one that I believe is called Most Common Fiction Mistakes, and it contains a lot of the things that are pet peeves of mine from my very, very brief community college career, and just kind of an observation of how writing is presented in formal education in general. The reason I take issue with it, and I'm going to try to grab the book real quick. I think it's actually behind me. I was incorrect, but I don't really need it. The things that I took issue with is it stressed trying to make your audience not get spooked by thinking that you are trying to preach to them or trying to appear more intelligent than them, etc. And there is something to be said for economy of language, which I think is what I was trying to get across. But I feel like there's a terseness that's completely unnecessary and a sort of Spartan utilitarianism in language that leads to decay rather than flourishing. Because it treats people as being too sensitive. For instance, I don't read to have my ego tickled, oh, I understand all of this. I read to go, wait a minute, I've never seen that word before. That's an interesting turn of phrase, etc. And what this book was saying was to avoid looking like you're showing off, which, as far as I'm concerned, art is kind of about showing off. Because if you're just going to be writing just the most Spartan, bare bones prose, as if you're writing a book about Java programming, I don't think that that's very readable, but that's almost kind of what people are trying to get at, and it leads to a dumbing down that just drives me completely mental. If you agree with me, go ahead and comment below, etc. Or if you disagree with me, likewise. I'm stalling over time here because I'm trying to remember what was the other aspect of it that I found annoying. In the book, it was suggested that you don't base your characters on real people that you know. And obviously, yeah, you should try to avoid putting somebody up into your book, because one day they might read it and be like, hey, you were describing me, you ass. But legal issues as well aside, what the author says, suggested in the book, is that real people aren't interesting. And I think real people are absolutely interesting because they're such a fertile ground of subconscious manifestation of all this crazy reaction to this crazy world that we live in. And if you try to fictionalize the character into some kind of a form, like a stock character almost, and I don't know if that's what he was getting at, but that seems to be the conclusion of don't use real people as the basis for your story. Well, I believe that Sherlock Holmes is actually based on a real person that Conan Doyle knew, like a teacher of his in medical school. Very ascetic, very methodical. It's just very odd things that I feel have to do with the corporatization of everything in the humanities or the sciences that gets away from that Enlightenment spirit. That's why I love Goethe and Bach and all of that. I know Bach is kind of more Baroque, but still, the Enlightenment spirit is not Spartan. It's not utilitarian. It's not, the term sometimes used is Prussian. It's life, it's vibrancy, it's depth of feeling, and it's craft. And it's not craft in a snarky or unrealistic way. Rather, it's a craft that appreciates the beauty of the mundane and elevates it as something worthy of the same reference as the divine without necessarily being sacrilegious. So, I'm hoping that this was entertaining. As I said, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe to this channel. I also have the WordPress website, www.fractaljournal.com, where you'll find essay stories and more. Comment, like, unlike, whatever. It's all good. And take care, folks.